Hey everybody, Tekking101 here. Welcome back to my reviews of Zombie Powder. This will be Zombie Powder chapter number 3. Actually, I filmed this yesterday, but the microphone wasn't on, and that was about maybe 20 minutes of me talking that amounted to nothing. So, a little bit pissed about that. I had to go away to myself for a while there. I couldn't really film it again right after that. But we're back here. Let's give it a second shot. Before we get into the chapter, though, let's continue on with the B-side, the naked monkeys from the last chapter. This time, it's Elwood's little character profile. I mean, it makes sense because we don't really know a lot of other main characters at this point except for Gamma and Shepard and Elwood. Actually, his full name we get is John Elwood Shepard. And it's funny because up to this point, I'm like, okay, we didn't even know his first and last name. It's been his middle name the entire time. His middle name is Elwood. I mean, granted, if John Elwood Shepard was my name, I'd go with Elwood because that's probably the cooler aspect of that section there. He's only 13 years old, which, you know, I mean, that's just more to the fact of the matter, just how, I mean, I guess it makes a little bit more sense now how he was just kind of really, like last chapter, he just kind of wandered into a situation where he got himself kidnapped pretty easily. I mean, because he's a kid. He's 13 years old. You know, he's not that mature. But then again, this is anime when it comes to, you know, age. You know, you could have a 13-year-old with the build of a 20-year-old that could save the world. So, you know, I don't freaking know. So Kubo describes him as like the more mature out of all the main characters, or I guess the group that's going to be gathered in the next couple chapters when we get like our main clique of heroes together. He's more stingy with the money. He's kind of like the I guess he's the one in charge of the money in the group, or he's the one that like is going to be like, okay, I pickpocketed all these people. You know, that was time out of my day. I mean, I'm not letting you spend it on something stupid, Gamma. Maybe something like that. He likes all kinds of food. Elwood is also the name of a boss of an American record label. I actually looked into this, and I actually found a bunch of different musicians and band names that included Elwood in it. Like, I think there was a guy named Jake Elwood. I think he played harmonica for the Blues Brothers band at one point, but I couldn't exactly find the Elwood that Kubo was talking about here, but it probably exists, because, you know, Kubo knows more stuff about this than I do. We get two little sketches of him here. We get a sketch of him just wearing a normal t-shirt with the star logo emblazoned on it, and we get a sketch of him in a cowboy hat. Kubo actually goes on to say that the clothing, like the fun fact with him is that the clothing line that he wears is something called Big Fat Starjack. Big Fat Starjack. Okay. That sounds more like a sex toy shop than anything, but okay, I guess that's the brand of clothing. I mean, he does a pretty good job of kind of incorporating us into the world that we're living in. Of course, there's going to be different, like, clothing styles. And I mean, Kubo, I see what he's doing. Like, the clothing that Kubo puts in his mangas are usually much more elaborate than most other series. Alright, so the chapter starts off in an unknown location where we see another group of, I guess they're thugs or some part of another crime syndicate like King Cuero was, because they just look very, they just, like, you could just take one look at him and tell them, okay, yeah, they're the villains. So we have one guy, he looks like, I want to say kind of a steampunk type look, because he's wearing like a balaclava over half of his face. And then he's wearing, like, these weird goggles, which I guess they're binoculars, because he's, like, looking out the window at a bus that's arriving. And I'm assuming this is the bus that Gamma and Elwood are riding on, and he's freaking out. And he's just like, oh, today's shipment's here. It's on the way. So he tells this to this other guy who looks like he has hair that... I mean, I don't know how much hair gel this guy has to get every month to keep this in a constant shape here, but it's probably quite an expense, I must say. So the guy with the binoculars, the goggles, he's just like, oh, okay, so this bus is here. Are we gonna find a Ring of the Dead today? And the other guy's just like, I don't know, but we got to do this. In fact, today it might be even easier though, because today we have a helper. So he turns to this other guy, this third guy in the room, and we don't see his face. We just see the back of him. So he's like a guy. He's wearing like a suit, and he's wearing like a 1930s like a banker type hat on, like a not really a top hat, just kind of like a hat. I don't even know what that's really called. And he's holding like a 9mm pistol, like a Glock, like a current version pistol, like something you would not find in the Old West. So he's just like, yeah, I'm ready, let me handle it. So dollars to donuts, this is the guy from the title page from the first chapter. Like, he's the London banker looking dude with the glasses. I mean, that's the only other, I mean, it obviously comes out right away, like, who he is. So we get the title page, which is actually, I think, the first title page that actually resembles something. It's like Gamma and Elwood just kind of hanging out on the side of the road. You know, they're under a stop sign, and they're just, you know, they're just chilling. The chapter, the title of Track 3 is Smith. Okay, so we cut back to the bus, and it was indeed that Elwood and Gamma were on this bus. They're arriving in the town of Gridgeller, which, if you remember from the last chapter, it was the town that Gamma was told about in that CD shop. See, I thought that Gamma went into that CD shop to kind of like have like an actual conversation with somebody, like over a phone or something. Apparently, somebody pointed out it was like a dead drop. See, basically, somebody came in to that CD shop several days, maybe even several weeks before Gamma did and Elwood in that chapter, and they recorded a message for Gamma, hid it in that CD, and then Gamma showed up and he knew what to look for, and he picked the CD up and he was listening to the message on the CD, and the message was like, I'm going to be in Gridgeller from the 3rd to the 5th, you know, if we can meet up there, that'd be great. So that's why Elwood and Gamma are headed there right now. Gridgeller itself, I mean, we don't only get to see a lot of the town, but the sign of the town itself looks like somebody just went to a scrap yard and then, you know, welded together a bunch of random shit to make this sign. So it doesn't look like a really you know, advanced town in terms of technology. Looks kind of like a junk heap essentially. So they're arriving in this town, and Elwood is finally like asking, you know, Gamma apparently like, oh my god, there's a Ring of the Dead in this town, and Gamma's like, well, yeah, if the information I got from my partner was correct. And Elwood, of course, freaks out about this. He's like, whoa, what the hell are you talking about, partner? I've been traveling with you for like 2 days. You never mentioned you had a partner. Who the fuck's this partner? And he goes on and on about that, and Gamma just completely shrugs him off. He's just like, oh, look, we're here. That's nice. Look at that nice town. Oh, look at that nice sign. That sign, it's quite a sign. You know, he's just kind of ignoring Elwood, really, and Elwood keeps pressing on when they're eventually both interrupted by the bus driver. So I guess he stops the bus and he gets up on the intercom and he's just like, boo, boo, boo. Thank you for riding on our bus line today. Welcome to Gridgeller. I hope you enjoy your stay, and please get down. So as soon as the guy says that, like, please get down, you can see the expression on Gamma and Elwood's face, and they're just like, oh, that fucker did boom! Like the side of, like almost expecting like all the windows in the bus get shot out, you know, everyone's ducking on the ground, you know, Elwood's having a freaking panic attack. He's like, holy shit, what's going on? What's going on? Gamma's completely cool through this whole thing. He gets on the ground, he grabs Elwood, he's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, just get down on the ground and don't get freaking shot. So just stay down and be quiet, Elwood, alright? I'll handle this. So then all of a sudden these other guys, they're like armed, they look like they're ninjas, except if ninjas were wearing tracksuits, because their faces are all covered up, but they're wearing like tracksuits, and they're all holding like submachine guns and Uzis and shit, and they all storm the bus like to freaking raid like a terrorist attack, and they all just point their guns directly at everybody on the bus, like, everybody get down, get down! So they all subdue the bus. You know, Elwood and Gamma alone have like 3 barrels pointed directly at them, when the hair gel guy from later, the guy that uses like the pipe cleaners in his hair probably, he steps out and he strikes an epic pose, and like the bus driver was in on it. The bus driver's just hanging out, I guess he was part of their gang or whatever, and he says, welcome, you pieces of shit. I am a member of the gang called Ash Daughter, and I want you to join us for a little ring hunting party here. So, this guy's name is Bakley, and he is the Eastern Chief of Ash Daughter. Now, Ash Daughter, I would assume, is like he says he's basically like, they're there to hunt rings, and this makes a lot of sense to me, because, of course, if you're going to have these things called Rings of the Dead, where nobody knows what happens when you gather all together for certain, but the legend is, if you gather them together, you get the zombie powder, you get immortality. I would imagine you wouldn't have just normal people like Gamma, like drifters, just wandering around trying to find it. You'd also have people that actually gather together, like, you know, like crime bosses and shit, getting together, gathering actual men with the guns and the money and the resources in order to actually send out a massive manhunt for these things, kind of like what these guys are doing right here. This guy alone says, I'm the Eastern Chief of Ash Daughter. That would imply that this gang Ash Daughters may be some huge criminal syndicate that, you know, way bigger than King Cuero's like little just small town gang. This Ash Daughter thing probably spans like several states, I don't know, like the whole continent or whatever, but apparently there's like, it's divided into districts, so clearly it's pretty big. So Gamma's looking at these guys and he's noticing like, oh, they're hunting rings, huh? So I guess from the beginning of the chapter where they got a tip, like, either they do this all the time or they just got a tip that there's a Ring of the Dead on this bus. You know, I don't know if they just storm every bus every day just to see if anybody just happens to have it, or if they got a particular tip that said there's a Ring of the Dead on this bus. That's why they stormed the thing. But either way, you know, Bakley subdues everybody, and he's just like, okay, everybody just hand over all the rings that you might have, you know, not just Rings of the Dead, just any ring that you have, like anybody that has a ring on them, so women and anything, like wedding rings, engagement rings, you know, whatever, just give them to me, and then, you know, and we'll figure it out later. So he's about to continue with this when all of a sudden we just hear like a bang, bang, bang in the back and like some commotion, and he turns around and he sees Gamma standing there in the back of the bus, and there's like 3 dead guys just surrounding him, like their heads bashed in with his freaking chainsaw sword. And you think the guy would notice him to begin with. I mean, the bus was not, it's a bus, you know, it's not that freaking big. The thing looked like a school bus, okay? You don't notice the guy that's like 6 foot tall wearing the flamboyantly silver coat and long epic mane of hair. You think that would be the first guy you'd notice on a bus with other, like, generally normally dressed people, you know, generically other people. You know, Gamma kind of sticks out there. So now he notices him, though. He looks over and he's like, oh, wait, gray hair, silver coat, black right arm. Oh, shit, you didn't. He's Akutabe freaking Gamma. So, of course, this guy recognizes Gamma. And, you know, Gamma just stands up and he's just like, okay, whatever. Look, I'm not going to really go into a long spiel here. I just want you to hand over all the Rings of the Dead you assembled, because Gamma realizes after they said who they were, you know, Gamma probably recognizes the name Ash Daughter, and he realizes, like, oh, these guys make a living hunting rings, like, that's their job, so therefore, they probably have some, you give them to me right now. So, of course, Bayfleet's not just going to say, oh, yeah, sure, man, here you go, wanted criminal, here I have my Rings of the Dead. So, he, of course, refuses it. Bad idea, as we've learned from Gamma at this point, refusing what he wants, because he just speeds right up to the guy, kicks him in the fucking chest, knocks him down clean out. You know, he's gone. And then after this, we get probably one of the scariest fucking panels I've ever seen in any manga, period. So after he knocks him down, Gamma just kind of stands back up really cash, and he's just like, okay, look, you're an idiot. I asked you to do something. You didn't do it. Well, then you could just fucking die, damn it. And this panel, right? Look at this. Look at this. Kubo drew this. My God, if this showed up in Bleach, I think I'd about piss my pants. Like the other guys on the bus, look at them. You know, they just drop their fudge. You know, Elwood's in the background. He's freaking out. You know, this is like something out of like Heavy Metal or something. This does not seem like anything Kubo would draw. Like, if you can usually show me any kind of, like, if you show me any character from a manga, you know, be it from Zombie Powder or Bleach, and if you ask me, you know, what mangaka do you think drew this? You know, given my expertise with Bleach, given the fact that I've been reviewing it for almost 3 years now, given the fact that I have, you know, all the manga, I would probably be able to determine, no matter who character it is, no matter what it is, I'd probably be able to determine that's probably Kubo. You know, that's probably Kubo. You know, this though, if you showed me this, I'd be like, I don't know, some guy who clearly has issues. And I have heard that when he was writing this manga, Kubo was going through a lot of depression. He was going a lot of personal shit in his life. And I think he even said in an interview at some point that it was because of those issues that, you know, he incorporated a lot of that. Like, it affected his writing and drawing style on Zombie Powder. So, I mean, if you need any example anymore, then this would be it. I kind of want to see shit like this in Bleach. I mean, look at the shading and the wrinkles he draws on his face and the demonic way he contorts the teeth. You know, it's really freaking creepy. All right, so, you know, everybody's like, you know, like freaking out over this, and all of a sudden, you know, you just hear a shot from behind. You turn around, and the guy from earlier, the guy holding the guy with the banker hat on and the glasses and the suit, he just shows up behind Gamma and just boom, shoots him right in the side of the freak. He was like right in the back, like right between right in the shoulder blade back here. Goes right clean through his body and through his left arm. He didn't shoot him in the right arm. And, you know, you see this guy from behind him, Gamma, like, he doesn't really act like he's hurt. He just, like, responds immediately, like, reflexively with his sword. But that other guy, he pulls up his freaking briefcase that he had, and the briefcase doesn't even get cut in half. I don't know if this stuff's made out of. Maybe, like, adamantium briefcase or something. Because you can see it got cut, but it didn't get cut straight through. I mean, the guy has a freaking chainsaw sword. And, you know, I don't know what it's made out of, but I would assume that it's not like a standard iron or steel. I'm sure whatever material that Gamma had it made out of, or if he made it himself, we still don't know where the hell he got this thing. But whatever it's made out of, I'm sure it's pretty more durable metal than the standard. But, you know, even with that, the briefcase still didn't get cut. So Gamma's just looking on at this guy, and he's just like, oh, man, you managed to block that with a freaking, like, with my freak case, you know? Who are you exactly? So the guy is just like, I'm just hired help. And you can see he says this so nonchalantly. He's like, oh, I'm just hired help. They paid me for 5,000 nits. And Gamma's just like, what are you talking, 5,000 nits? And you agreed to do, like, basically like a paid for hire, like an assassin job for 5,000? You can barely pay for a funeral with that. So, you know, obviously I don't know the conversion rate between currency in this world. Considering the fact that, you know, he accepted this job for 5,000 nits, and we know that King Cuero's bounty was 8,000 from Chapter 1, and Gamma was treating it like nothing more. It was like more than pocket change, was 8,000. So, you know, I'm just going to say it's maybe, you convert it to like hundreds, like 5,000 is like $500, because $500, okay, it's a lot of money, but it's certainly, like, if someone asked me to go kill somebody or commit, like, a violent act and a crime for $500, I'd probably turn him down. King Cuero's bounty being 800, that would be kind of, you know, pocket change when compared to other criminals. So yeah, but then we have the other guy who, you know, he pulls out, I guess, another pistol he had like hidden in his sleeve. He drops his briefcase. Now he has like these two 9mm like Glocks, and he's just like unloading on fucking Gamma, and Gamma's like avoiding them. And you know, they're actually, you know, Elwood's even noticing this, and Elwood's like, wow, Gamma's not even playing with this guy. You know, normally with the last two guys from the last chapter, he just showed up, he cut those guys down without a second thought. Here he's actually fighting seriously and on equal footing with whoever this banker type guy is. So this all gets interrupted, though, when eventually, I want you to guess here on what happens. Elwood gets kidnapped at gunpoint again. Woo, right? So yeah, Bakley at this time stands back up after, I guess he got his nose broken by Gamma when he kicked him in the side of the freaking face, and when he fell to the ground. So, you know, he grabs Elwood, he holds him down, points a gun at his head. He's just like, don't move, Gamma, I'll blow your friend's brains out. So, you know, Gamma, he drops his weapon, and he goes up to him, and he basically says, like, okay, fine, you got me. I guess there's nothing I can really do in this situation. I mean, under normal circumstances, he would just cut everybody down on the bus, but, you know, with this guy there, I don't really know if he could do that. I mean, this guy seems to be fighting on equal footing with Gamma for the most part. So he's like, okay, so Gamma surrenders, and he's like, okay, basically he's like, okay, we'll bring him back to our base for interrogation. But kid, we don't need you anymore. So he turns around, points his revolver straight at freaking Elwood's face, pulls the trigger, boom! But at the last second, this redeems the chapter. Well, it wasn't really that bad to begin with, but this redeems Gamma for this chapter. He was kind of getting owned there a little bit, where, you know, he turned around, and, you know, Gamma just literally held up his two fingers up against the gun's barrel, and when the bullet exited, just like, pong! You know, he catches it right as it exits the barrel, holds it up to his mouth, and he's just like, okay, listen, I want to make one thing perfectly clear here. I am only the only reason you are not dead is because I don't want that kid to be dead. But under any other circumstances, I could kill you all 10 times before you hit the fucking ground. So I just want that to be stated here. If you kill him, that's what's going to happen, because the reason I'm cooperating will be gone if he's dead. So Bakley's just like, oh shit, I guess we're kind of in a bind here. So he just says, all right, fine, take them both with them. So next page, we get them like in this desert area. It kind of looks like what's that? It's a prison. It's called ADX Florence, I think. It's out in the Colorado Rockies. It's like this massive security prison in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's like a wasteland. It kind of reminds me of that, like this building out in the middle of the desert. You know, it's probably, you know, laced with booby traps and barbed wire, and this like a heavily like a compound facility essentially. So that's basically what it is, a compound. It's like going Waco on this bitch. So we see like they have like a cell, like a you know, like a detainment room where they chuck Elwood and Gamma in, and you know, so they're in there, and Elwood's freaking out, and he's just like, oh my god, what are you doing? You don't have to kick me, I'm gonna be here. And Gamma's just like, Elwood, just be quiet. You know, your voice is gonna bounce off the walls. That's annoying. Just shut up. So Elwood finally asks Gamma about, what about, yeah, you got shot, you know, kind of in the arm, like straight through your body. Are you okay? And Gamma's just like, oh yeah, I'm fine, no worries, I'm good. So Elwood's like, what are you talking about? You know, that's really bad. I mean, you could get really hurt. That thing can get infected. So meanwhile, the banker dude is now behind them on the other side of the cell, like watching them. He's like, oh man, what are you doing here, right? So, you know, and then another guy, I guess he was the one that was supposed to be guarding the cell. He shows up and he's talking to the guy. He's like, oh, that's our hired help. You know, thank you for helping us out today. Couldn't have done it without you. So the banker holds out the Ring of the Dead that Gamma had. I guess they confiscated it from him. And they said, okay, this is the Ring of the Dead. And the thug is like, oh, don't worry, I'll go put that in the safe for you. And meanwhile, the banker's just like, oh, no, it's cool. I'll put it in the safe. I won't have you trouble. It's in the Eastern Tower, right? So the thug is like, wait, what are you talking about, Eastern Tower? No, the safe where we keep the Rings of the Dead, it's on the second floor of the Southern Tower. You know, dummy, you know, you should know that. So banker's just like, oh, thanks. Boom! Right in the side of the head. You know, that thug goes down, shoots his own man straight. I guess it's not his own man because he's hired help. He doesn't really have an association with these guys. But he still just shoots his colleague in the face. And then he immediately turns his gun through the bars and pointing directly at Gamma and Elwood, and that's where the chapter ends. So, I mean, I'm going to go off on a limb here and just say that the banker dude is, I'm just going to call him Smith because that was the title of the chapter, so I'm just going to say Smith. That would be weird if his name was like Mr. Smith, if he's like an assassin, he doesn't actually give him the real name. But I'm just going to go off on a limb and say that's Gamma's partner, because now it's starting to make a little bit more sense. I mean, the only thing holding me back on that is he shot Gamma in the side of the, in the back, you know, straight through, and he clearly shot him because you saw the blood, but at the same time, Gamma doesn't seem to be harmed by this. I mean, Gamma's not going to go down that quickly just by getting shot in the back. So, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know why he's pointing a gun directly at them. Maybe just to scare him. Like, I thought I would screw with you a little bit. No, I'm really their partner. You can get out of here. Because I can't really see any reason. Unless he wants to kill everybody and take the rings for himself and just leave. Like, double-cross the Ash Daughter game. But I'm like, yeah, but, you know, this like, who else would there be? I mean, unless, you know, the partner hasn't been introduced yet and the partner shows up and saves them from the gang. But I don't really see that happening. I kind of only see the only option here, like, is like, last chapter we're talking about a partner, Ingrid Geller. This chapter we're Ingrid Geller, and there's this new guy that shows up that just shoots his own man in the face. I'm just going to assume that that's his partner. But regardless of that, good chapter. We're introduced to maybe this is actually going to be like the villain of this particular arc. I don't know how long. I hope this is an actual arc that, you know, spans several chapters, because, you know, the first chapter just starts off a series. Second chapter just kind of elaborated on it a little bit. Maybe this is actually going to start off a series, because the Ash Daughter gang apparently is a much wider range than, you know, any other villain they fought against, because Queen Cuero's gang was just like a small town thing, and those two thugs from last chapter were just like two thugs. That's like just two guys, you know, they weren't anything else beside that. So, hope you enjoyed. It's Tekking101. Hopefully the microphone's working this time. Signing out. See you guys.